today. It's late, so he's gonna get in a couple hours.
Hey, so it's Mrs. R Bookish here, and welcome to my channel. Today you are watching as I finish up a blanket that I made for my son, which has taken me probably the past 5 years. That's right. I started making this blanket for him in 2020 when he graduated from high school, and we moved a few times and I kept working on it. And then I finally realized, you know what? I need to go ahead and give this thing to him this year. So I finished it up for Christmas and he finally got it. And I recorded myself working on it. I want to say that there is something about working on projects for people that you love. There's a little bit of an intimidating part about it, at least for me, where I am hoping that they love it. I'm hoping that it comes together nicely. I'm hoping that I don't mess up. And then there is this exciting part where I'm hoping that they love it. And I am so excited and enthusiastic about the fact that I made it for them. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like taking my hands and making something for the people I love and then actually finishing it and giving it to them. This blanket is a good example of that. So let's talk a little bit about the blanket itself. It's primarily a granny square that I made with some Vanna's Choice yarn. And I had all the colors for quite some time, and I would find myself going back to the store to go get the similar colors. And then because it took me so long, I couldn't get these colors anymore. So this is where you see that I went from green and brown and tan to adding some black and gray, still some tan, and a different shade of brown, because I no longer had the greens that were available. And I also wanted to change it a bit because my son, while he still likes green and the brown goes with it, he now really likes black and gray. So I would advise that if you plan on making a project, you try to get all the yarn that you could possibly get for the project when you are gathering your materials. Had I known that this was going to take me so long, I would have made sure that I got more yarn because, yeah, looking back, I would have said to myself, hey, that yarn is not going to be available in 5 years. So the brief recording that's coming up is just a little bit about the pattern, and then we'll go to talk more about the blanket.
For this granny square, it is really a chain 2, like this, 1, 2, and then we do 3 double crochets in the chain 2 space below. And I basically have done this all the way around the blanket, just changing out the colors and how many times I've chosen to do it.
I knit more than I crochet, and so I realized that by working on this project, I really need to crochet more because I really enjoyed how quickly the project came together and how it looked, especially in this granny square blanket form. So you'll probably be seeing me with more crochet projects. I'll still be knitting as much as I knit, but I enjoyed this process and I love how it worked out. Now, one thing I learned in the middle of doing this project is that crochet really does take a lot more yarn than knitting. I probably would have made, I don't know, 3 sweaters and a really huge blanket with all this yarn. Well, I guess I should say or, not and. But I really realized that even with making this crocheted granny square blanket with a lot of yarn, I have to think about really how many skeins of yarn it took to make this. But again, I enjoyed it. It just needs to be noted that no matter what I am doing, if I'm looking at using a lesser amount of yarn, I need to lean towards knitting. And if I'm okay with, using more yarn, then crochet is the way to go. Let's talk for a minute about what I liked versus what I didn't like about working on this project. What I did like is that it was easy to do. I didn't really have to think much about it, and I knew that, it was basically going to be the same thing over and over again until I hit a corner, and then there was a little bit of a change in the pattern, and then I was going to continue to do the same thing because it's basically a huge granny square. That was a great thing. I also like that if I messed up, I could easily just unravel, go back and fix it, no big deal. And then there was the part of when I wanted to pause, I didn't have to worry about really my stitches dropping or anything. I just pulled out a certain amount of yarn from the hook, put the hook away, placed the project in a bag, and then got back to it. Not to mention that here at the end, when I was ready to finish it off, I think I added 5 or so rows towards the end to make the blanket bigger, and then it was quickly done. That doesn't happen very often with knitting, and I was excited that I was going to be able to actually give him this project for Christmas, and I did. Now, what about what I didn't like? Well, I did not like weaving in these ends. There were so many ends. Not that I haven't woven in this amount of ends before, but it was a lot. And I knew it was going to be a lot as I added on the colors, especially towards the end, because I really was only able to do single rows once we got to the end of the blanket because it was so big, and I only had, a certain amount of yarn to go around the blanket one time. That was it. Weaving in the ends wasn't one of my favorite parts. It's not that it was hard, it just was not one of my favorites. The other thing I didn't like is that this was not TV knitting. Nope, it was couch crochet. And what do I mean by that? Well, whenever I am working on a knitting project that doesn't require a lot of my attention, I'm able to sit down and watch a good movie with my husband, just kind of chit chat, listen to some music, watch some videos on TikTok or YouTube, and I don't really have to worry about paying attention to the pattern. While this was easy, this was not that. I was able to sit on the couch with my feet up and the blanket covered me, but